Okay, so those are air traffic controllers, and believe it or not, your brain kind of works very similarly in that airport, like an air traffic controller. Anytime you hear a new idea or something, that's an airplane. You can decide whether or not you want that idea to land in your brain, or if you want that idea to go away to a different airport. And so today we're talking about our ears. There's lots of things that you guys are exposed to that you listen to. Some of the things are harmful, some of the things are good. You know, you kind of have to weigh the good with the bad. When I was your guys' age, I went to a lot of concerts. I played very loud music, like I talked about a couple weeks ago that I was in a band. Not the smartest idea. A lot of the times when I was in a concert, I ended up like right by the speakers. And so now, my hearing actually is not that great. If you guys have ever taken a hearing test, like just type hearing test into YouTube. You guys can probably still hear all the frequencies. I can only hear the frequency that like very elderly people hear. And so I damaged my ears a little bit too much when I was your guys' age. And the same goes for the things that we hear. If we let bad things in long enough, it will give us permanent damage. So let's talk about some of those planes that you don't want to land in your airport today. Here's the first one. You aren't good enough. If you guys have listened at all this whole semester, we've talked about this one a lot, but that's because it's probably the number one thing that you guys struggle with, that a lot of people struggle with. So if you feel like you're alone thinking this, you are not alone. It's the number one things that teenagers struggle with just in general. There's actually been a 34% rise in teen depression, anxiety, and suicide over the last 15 years. So that could just be by new data or the world has just changed, but the point is that it's a problem. And so too many people are allowing that plane to land on their runway. But you have to remember that you are a human being. That might be something that you could forget. You are a person. Just because you are a person, that means you are good enough. Every person is equal and deserving of respect. Here's another thing that we tend to do. We desensitize ourselves. And that's a big word. But desensitize means that over and over we hear something over and over and it just kind of becomes normal. So racism, sexism, bullying, it's just something that we're exposed to over a long period of time. After a while, it just doesn't mean anything to us anymore. We make it normal. It's just like if you watch a bunch of violent movies, I'm kind of guilty of watching a bunch of violent movies sometimes, and I can get desensitized to the violence in the movie. I can just look at some guy's like head getting chopped off and be like, oh, cool. But like if that happened in real life, I'd be like, oh my! Like, I desensitize myself to that. But we desensitize ourselves to really bad things. And so if you want to be that person that takes a stand against injustice, all you have to do is stop making it normal. Stop making it normal when your friend tells a racist joke. Stop making it normal when somebody says something sexist. Like, you are the person that can change the culture of racism, sexism at your school. So stop acting like it's normal. Here's another one. Temptation. Temptation, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're unfamiliar with what a temptation is, it's basically like the desire to give in to something. And sometimes those things lead to our destruction. Have you guys seen those people on the news that like get a pet monkey when they're like a little baby monkey, or like a tiger or something when it's a little baby, like, oh man, that's really cute. Problem is, like, the baby monkey's gonna grow up into a gorilla and like punch that people like in their face, like while they're sleeping or something. That's the same way that temptation works in our lives. That we let it in and it seems harmless, but in the end, it's gonna cause our destruction. Here's another thing we struggle with. Worst case scenarios. You guys probably have friends that only think in worst case scenarios, or maybe you are that friend. I know that I worry a lot, but a lot of the times we just think that the very worst thing is gonna happen. Just by a show of hands, who feels like the glass is half full? You feel like the glass is half full? Not very long. What about glass half empty? How about you don't think that the glass exists at all? Alright? Wow. There's a lot of Buddhist people in here, so Buddhism represents the glass doesn't exist. But in the end, guys, you know and control your attitude. You can't control the future. You can only control how you react to it. So remember that if you're constantly worrying about the worst case scenario, you're actually preventing yourself from enjoying to live your life. So don't rob yourself of joy. Now, there are some planes that come to our airports that we need to let land. There are some things we need to land in our airport. Here's one of them. It's not a very pleasant plane, but it needs to land in your airport. It doesn't feel good, but it leads to your growth, just like vegetables. Vegetables, a lot of them don't really taste that good, but most of them are very, very good for you. Probably all of them are good for you. You say most of them. But like Brussels sprouts, does anybody here actually like Brussels sprouts? No, you don't. Liars. You're like, I like it when there's butter and bacon on it. That's the best. No, if you've ever eaten a raw Brussels sprout, it is nasty. It's nasty. But it's got like really good vitamin A and all the other vitamins. I'm not a vitamin guy, so you can look it up online, but promise me they're probably really healthy because they taste really, really bad. But just like that, hearing that you're wrong helps you grow. And so it helps you become a better person. And admitting that you're wrong is something that can bring you closer to your friends, because your friends don't want to hang out with somebody who thinks they're right all the time. Here's another one, constructive criticism. So constructive criticism is different than destructive criticism. Constructive criticism is something that you can use to construct a better you, to build yourself into a better person. Destructive is something that only tears you down. So constructive criticism is probably something you hear from your teachers or your coaches telling you that you can do better, knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are. Destructive criticism is probably your friend or somebody else using the word trash against you, like that's trash or you're trash. Like that's just kind of like a common thing. Yeah. And I say that word because, I've been here almost the whole semester and I probably heard that word more than a lot of other words when you guys describe things. So constructive criticism, you want that to land because you want to be able to grow as a person. Here's the last one, opposing views. We need to expose ourselves to other beliefs. I promise you, you won't die when you expose yourself to other beliefs. Now, of course, it goes with parents' permission and a lot of other things, but I would encourage you guys to visit other churches if you go to church, or visit other people who have different beliefs than you. Have a conversation with them. Do it in a respectful way, because disagreement does not equal hate. Disagreement does not equal hate. When you expose yourself to different beliefs, it allows you to evaluate what you believe and maybe even grow stronger in what you believe, or realize that there's something about your belief that maybe you need to change and adapt to something new. In either case, you become stronger as a person. So in the end, guys, we need to be aware of what we are letting in our brain. What are you listening to? What are the things that are getting inside there? Because we need to do a better job, like the air traffic controllers, of letting certain planes land, but telling other planes to go away. So listen carefully. Peace out.